I'm thinking of you. Everyone can carry on except for we two.
It really is incomprehensible to try and explain to people what it's like to lose Maxine.
Maxine Hambleton was 18 when she died.
Maxine loved Slade. She was in love with Dave Hill. She had a poster of him on her wall. She was full of life, she was kind, she was funny, she was sharp as a knife.
She was murdered in Birmingham almost 40 years ago, and her family is still trying to find out who did it.
I can just see her walking away, and it's very, very hard to think that I was the last one in my family to see her alive, and the way she was. I delivered her to her death.
Sign a petition, folks. Take you 2 minutes.
But Maxine didn't die alone. In 1974, 21 people were killed, and almost 200 others were injured in the Birmingham Pub Bombings.
Sign a petition, folks.
The case remains unsolved.
Take you 2 minutes to sign a petition.
I remember the bombs.
Do you?
Yeah.
I don't think anyone will forget that.
We've been following them since January. Maxine's brother, Brian, and her sister, Julie, are setting out their stall to demand a fresh investigation and justice for the 21 who were killed.
Excuse me, sir. Could you sign our petition, please? Excuse me, sir. Excuse me, could I trouble you for a second?
It's hard. It's really hard.
They are only yards from the two city centre pubs where the bombs went off, and on days like these, their small band of supporters really keeps them going.
They really are an incredible group of people. Without them, without any shadow of a doubt, we wouldn't be where we are today.
The Hambletons want 100,000 signatures on their petition to show the police and politicians that Birmingham is behind them. It doesn't sound like such a big ask in a city of over 1 million people, but they are still 90,000 short. Is this an old story in danger of getting lost in a modern city? We found someone who doesn't need a history lesson. She was there.
Hi Julie, I'm Maureen.
Hello, Maureen.
Maureen Mitchell, I was a victim in the
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Hello. It's really nice to meet you.
And yeah, I did
my
see
God.
you at the vigil in November, but you'd got so many people around, yeah.
Were you in this heaven in the town?
I was in
the Mulberry
Mulberry
Bush.
yeah.
Maureen Mitchell was so badly injured in the Mulberry Bush pub, priests gave her the last rites. This is the first time she's met Julie.
Oh God, you took me by surprise. It's emotional for me because you were there. I mean, you wasn't in the same pub, but you have been through it literally, and my heart goes out to
It's
you.
a reminder to you because, you know, it's different for me. I mean, I'm here to tell the tale and obviously...
Yeah, but you
Maxine's
have
not, you know,
real life memories of horror, real horror and terror.
But I mean, I've done
21 people died and 182 were injured, but surprisingly few of the families affected by the bombings know each other. But there are reasons for that.
I did go through a very bad stage of survivor guilt, that you do feel guilty that you survived when someone like Julie lost someone so close to them.
The IRA has always been blamed for the bombings, but publicly never admitted it. Maureen tells a different story.
I mean, we've been to Ireland, haven't we, and been involved in a peace programme in Ireland, and we've met sort of ex-terrorists or whatever they like to call themselves, haven't we? And we know some of them actually said we'd do it again if we had to.
What he actually said to them, like, they never targeted civilians.
Yeah.
They never targeted civilians.
That's what he said. That's were his words. And said to him, "What about Birmingham?" He said that was a mistake.
How could it be a mistake?
Yeah.
I don't know.
They had 3 bombs. One was in one pub, one was in another, and the other one didn't go off.
But those were his actual words.
Yes, that was a mistake.
He said, well, his actual phrase to me was, the difference between us and Al-Qaeda is that we've never targeted civilians.
It's been a tough conversation to have in the streets, but it sounds like this was a good time to have it.
If I can support Julie in any way, I will, and we will stay in touch now, I'm sure we will, you know.
I was dancing when I was 12.
Brian is driving to where he dropped his sister off on the night of the bombings. Memories follow him through a city that has moved on from the 70s.
I see it in a different light. I'm sort of stuck in a kind of limbo.
Tonight the pubs are full again, and fear of the IRA has gone. But 40 years ago, Birmingham was a very different place. Irish Republicans were resisting British rule in Northern Ireland. Some turned to terrorism, planting bombs at home and on the mainland. The West Midlands was hit more than 30 times in 12 months. Thankfully, there were few casualties. But that was about to change.
You could never have guessed what was going to happen within the next 60 minutes.
Well, would somebody want to kill people like that? Or just kill people? We're out in a pub.
The Mulberry Bush, at the foot of Birmingham's Rotunda, and the Tavern in a Town basement bar, where Maxine was, were blown to pieces. She was one of 6 children. Julie, the youngest, was only 11 when it happened, and has one small box of memories.
And there's a picture of Maxine. I think that's a fantastic picture of her because it really captures her. You know, look at her smile. And she made that dress herself. Bless her.
Alongside the memories, there is also a suggestion of how her sister died.
And then I come across this. She used to love her bangles, Maxine. She wore lots and lots of bangles. And these were her rings. And I'm not sure, but I think that this is what she was wearing on the night she was killed, because it's all bent and damaged. And it's all burnt.
Starting the campaign has exposed them to harrowing details they were never told as children. Julie thinks it's time they were told everything.
We don't care how many boxes we have to open, but whatever it takes, we will do it. Because somebody has got to fight for these people who aren't here to fight for themselves.
This campaign never stops. It's taken over their lives and their living rooms.
It is extremely time-consuming. We literally eat, sleep, drink it. We dream about it.
But why have they left it so long?
I wasn't strong enough. Grief is a terrible thing. And anyone who has lost a loved one to murder, any form of murder or horrendous loss, will know what we're talking about. Some people never recover.
Ladies and gentlemen, for 16 and a half years, we've been played used as political scapegoats.
There is another reason why the families kept quiet.
The police told us from the start that they knew we hadn't done it.
6 Irishmen, jailed for the bombings in 1975, walked free from the Court of Appeal after 16 and a half years in prison. Judges ruled their 21 murder convictions were unsafe and overturned them.
I couldn't watch it because, as far as I was concerned, it was like Maxine had been murdered again.
The 1991 Birmingham 6 appeal had demolished the credibility of the police investigation.
It was as if all the victims and the survivors were basically made a laughing stock of.
Justice! I don't think them people in there have got the intelligence, nor the honesty to spell the word, never mind dispense it. They're rotten!
This man is about to take the campaign in an unexpected direction.
My name's Patrick Joseph Hill, and I'm one of the men who are commonly known as the Birmingham Six.
Paddy Hill is the most vocal and recognisable of the Birmingham Six. He's been out of prison for 22 years and bears the scars of his own battle for justice.
The sooner we get the truth, then maybe for the living relatives of those who died and for those that were injured and are still alive, maybe then they may have some closure. Because none of us will ever have closure until we do know the truth.
He has signed the Hambletons' petition and is a seasoned campaigner. But would they want his help? We're about to find out.
It's like we're going to meet the enemy.
They hated him for years, and he knows it.
When I see the Hambletons, I'm looking forward to it. But I'm still a bit apprehensive, you know. I know how I'm going to take them, it's how they're going to take me.
From opposite ends of this tragedy, the three of them are about to meet in the middle. They're leaving Birmingham for another town blown apart by terrorists.
This is one man of six who, through the years, has been vilified and is infamous for the death of our sister and 20 other innocent souls.
But we can't go further forward without doing this.
I understand how those people feel, like, you know, they've had years of having someone to focus their anger on. And of course their anger was focused on us. I have a similar anger, but my anger is focused on the West Midlands Serious Crime Squad.
There's many questions I want to ask him. I don't know what order I will ask them in. It's judging him as a character.
They've come to Warrington. The Tim Parry and Jonathan Ball Peace Centre was built in memory of two young boys who were killed when an IRA bomb exploded in the town 20 years ago. The charity specialises in bringing people affected by terrorism together peacefully. They are experts at handling volatile meetings, and with only a door between Paddy and the Hambletons, things are tense.
Julie Bryan, do you want to come in and take a seat on these two seats here? Yeah. Paddy, do you just want to stay there a second, and Julie Bryan just want to sit down.
Hi, Julie.
Hello.
Hi, Brian.
Right. Obviously know Brian, Julie, and Paddy. I want to just start talking for a few moments, if I may, and just introduce and welcome you to the Peace Centre.
Well, I'm glad you're here, face to face, to ask you what I'd like to ask you. And that's, my first question would be obviously, I myself, my family and the rest of the population of Birmingham, it's in our DNA that we was told and read through the media and what we was told by the police that you was the ringleader of the so-called Birmingham Six. And as far as I was concerned, you killed my sister and all the other 20 innocent.
I understand that, I understand that. You don't have to tell me, I know what they said. And let me tell you something. You may not believe this. I have never, ever in my life been asked one question by the police about the Birmingham Pub Bombings. Never. Don't get me wrong, I am Irish, I am Green, and I am Republican. I would love to see my country united, but I have nothing to do with the IRA. And you see, when it happened, the cops told us right from the start, and I can't never, the words are burnt into my brain. They turned around and told us right from the beginning, quote, "We know you didn't do the bombings. We don't give who done the bombings. We've got you, that's good enough for us."
Neither side sits comfortably. But after 2 hours, some common ground opens up.
Do you have access to the statements or the trial transcripts, or do your solicitors?
I have everything that you could think of.
Could you make them available to us?
I already told
Please.
Anthony last night I will talk to my solicitor. And because we have it all, I have a complete file of everything. I'm the only one of the 6 of us that kept. I done all the fighting in the jail. I was the one that done all the writing and what have you. But I kept every bit. I have a complete set of everything at my solicitors in London.
They've been asking the police for that sort of access for months.
I think I'm quite a good judge of character. I mean, I could be sitting here still thinking that you killed my sister.
Yeah.
But, you know, what we've learned and detected over the last year, without going overboard, has changed my mindset. That's as far as I'm willing to go.
Thank you.
A couple of hours has barely scratched the surface of the history between them, but it's exposed the damage done to both sides.
And they tore my family apart. My mother. Everything. My kids ended up in homes and everything. Then my kids ended up moving house 9 times in 11 years. They didn't even know what name they were using. For my family, you know?
The meeting has ended hopefully, if not happily. Paddy's offer to help has opened up a new channel for the campaign.
If we can have access to his papers through his solicitor, that will turn everything upside down.
Does this mean Paddy has won them over?
It was the hardest thing I've ever had to do. It's still hard for us to, you know, it's in everyone's psyche, isn't it, that he was the ringleader and he did it. So for us to do what we've done is absolutely profound for us.
I feel absolutely numb. I can't believe I've just met and spent time with the man I've always been told and believed murdered my sister. But if it wasn't for the fact that through our own investigations that we've done, I couldn't have sat here for the period of time I have done.
That was quite some meeting.
Yeah, very intense. But I'm glad we had it, you know, and hopefully that it'll help them to understand things better, rather than just believing everything that they've been told for nearly 40 years. Also, one of the things I said to them, you've got to get the members of Parliament. We have enough members of Parliament around the Midlands. They get up and start asking questions.
But the police didn't find any answers after the second investigation in 1994.
We have done every possible thing that we can to bring the perpetrators of that crime to justice, and the conclusion that has been reached is the one that I don't need to read to you again, that there is insufficient evidence for proceedings to be taken.
If they'd done everything that was humanly possible, then how come the perpetrators are still out there with their liberty?
At the very top of this building, West Midlands police commanders are taking the Hambletons' questions and frustrations seriously. No promises have been made, but the door to a fresh investigation has been opened just a little.
We've been gathering together all of the material from the investigations that took place in 1974, the latter investigations around the Court of Appeal time in the late 80s, and then the further work that was done in the 90s by West Midlands Police.
That's a massive amount of paperwork. A task force from the counter-terrorism unit has spent the past year piecing it all together at a top-secret location. None of this has been shown on television before, and even now, detectives insist on filming it themselves.
Understand and appreciate, having spoken to them, some of the pain that they carry, having gone for so long not understanding all of the circumstance and issues that surround this case. We'll go where the evidence goes in time, and we'll go with reinvestigating if that's the right thing to do. If there is no hope, then clearly we'll need to make that decision, and we'll need to explain it.
But his predecessors messed up. The evidence gathered was ruled unsafe by the Court of Appeal. What hope is there?
It's sort of very much sort of on record, isn't it, in terms of the original work was found to be flawed by the Court of Appeal. I think that if you like, the approach that was taken to managing families in these types of cases is very different today than it was there. I think it's right that we have a much closer relationship with them. We definitely are doing this because it's the right thing to do, and it's right that we should be able to answer their questions in time.
The Hambletons are running out of patience with the police. But Paddy's come through with his promise and invited them to his solicitor's office in Camden.
If they have information that can provide some questions or answers to some of our questions, it will be a truly remarkable moment in our campaign for justice.
I'll come in.
Hello.
They're about to meet someone who thinks it's remarkable they've never been shown any evidence.
I brought back enough boxes that I thought we could get started.
Okay.
But I didn't want to overwhelm you, and there are a lot more.
The renowned human rights lawyer, Gareth Pearce, got Paddy out of jail and has kept every scrap of paperwork. Over 200 boxes worth.
Maybe this is useful for you just to take away with you as well, because it sort of helps you keep track of what the evidence was.
But where do they start?
We'd like to know everything.
Yeah.
We have a right to know everything.
The lawyer agrees.
I think they have a completely reasonable, appropriate, just expectation, and that's to simply be told the truth, simply be given the data that exists. That's not a big ask.
It looks like they've got a lot of reading to do.
I mean, thank goodness for Gareth and what Paddy's done to make certain things available to us. It is a very odd alliance, something that we would never ever have conceived prior to 12 months ago, as short as that. But as the old saying goes, needs must, and we are, for want of a better expression, quite possibly fighting exactly the same cause, looking for the same answers.
But should they really be doing their own detective work?
The police exist to investigate. They're paid enormous sums, they're given enormous resources, they're giving exceptional powers over the rest of the citizens of this country. They've failed in a spectacular way, these families, in a disgraceful way. And so far as I can detect, they haven't even owned up to the families of the ways in which they've failed, let alone any analysis of how they believe they might succeed.
As the other half of this odd alliance, what does Paddy think they should do next?
There is some good members of Parliament out there, and there is some good police officers as well. And I've no doubt that as time goes on, hopefully in the near future, that some of them are going to step up to the mark and come out with the truth, and let's get it done once and for all. And hopefully it'll give us not only the victims, but it will also give us and our families closure.
The Hambletons have taken some important and difficult steps this year, learning a lot about the case and campaigning.
If you would have said to me 24 months ago that my brother and I would be meeting Paddy Hill, we would have said that you were completely off your rocker.
The Prime Minister now knows about justice for the 21. He's reading Brian and Julie's dossier, and they expect an update on the police review in the new year. The anniversary makes November a difficult month. But this year has been about moving forward.
I've always had the sense that the people in power think we was probably only going to last 5 minutes, but we're still here and we won't go away. And I don't know how long I'll be on this planet for, but I'll be fighting this till the day I die.
Sign the petition, folks. Take it 2 minutes.
We need the people of Birmingham to stand up, to come out and support our campaign. We need the whole of the UK to come out and stand up for our campaign, so that we all together as a group can force the hands of the authorities to bring the truth out once and for all, and for justice to be served and to be seen to be done.